they really found that Salesforce was a great tool to bring to the nonprofit and association space, and really started focusing there. It has been a primarily woman owned and ran company for that time. And that's really what they focused on, right? Is making sure that we're serving nonprofits and associations well, and also ensuring that we're giving women in our space, space to have awesome careers.
Welcome to Business Ninjas, brought to you by WriteForMe, where you'll hear from business leaders who are out there growing their business and slaying it every day. Learn from the masters. Let's get started.
Hey everybody, welcome back for another episode of Business Ninjas. I'm here today with Ashley Goad. She's the Director of Data and Technical Architecture at Fionta. Ashley, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, excited to have you. So Ashley, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I have been in the tech space for probably about technology consulting for about 16 years, and in the tech space for about 20 years. I have really spent the last 16 years really focusing on nonprofit type of work, and have worked in several different products, along the way, and finally found my home in Salesforce about 4 years ago with Fionta.
That's fantastic. So tell me more.
Well, I guess my career started when I was really interested in the tech space. I don't know. I started really in sales and recruitment for the tech space. And in working with more technical folks, I realized, hey, I really like this side of the house a lot more. So that led me to pursue more of a technical career. So I started with programming and development work. And then I was like, well, I'm really not a person that likes to sit back and just code all day. I really like interacting with clients. And I came across an opportunity to work with nonprofits in a consulting space and implement products for them. And it really appealed to me because it allowed me to not only, use my people skills and personal skills, but my development skills on the same time, and really bring cool technology to nonprofits. And that's kind of where I've sat for the last 16 years, is focusing on that space.
That's so interesting. So tell me more specifically about, I understand kind of what you do. Tell me more about Fionta.
Well, Fionta actually has been in business for about 20 years. So They really started their business more around just generalized technology consulting and advising clients on, what their technology infrastructure should be, and maybe even business processes. And they've really been focusing on nonprofits and associations, probably about that whole time. They entered the Salesforce space, I want to say, I think it was in 2012, before my time. And they really found that Salesforce was a great tool to bring to the nonprofit and association space, and really started focusing there. It has been a primarily woman owned and ran company for that time. And that's really what they focused on, right? Is making sure that we're serving nonprofits and associations well, and also ensuring that we're giving women in our space, space to have awesome careers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because there certainly is, I think, a difference between the number of women in the field and men in the field. So to be able to have a women-run company in this space is profound.
Yes, and that's what kind of drew me to Fionta. Also they hit me up on LinkedIn. It kind of brought me into the company, but it was also the fact that they were primarily women ran, and I'm lucky enough to have a team of a lot of women as well in the tech space, which is pretty unusual for data and architecture to have women in that space.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So getting more, a little more specific kind of with Fionta and, with your role, talk to me about some of the solutions that, you're able to offer.
Well, on the nonprofit specific side of the house, on Salesforce side of the house in general, we are a premium Salesforce partner. So with that, we are able to offer Salesforce to nonprofit organizations, and we leverage the Nonprofit Success Pack, so NPSP, for a lot of those organizations. And what's really cool is that NPSP does allow a nonprofit to gain access to Salesforce and the NPSP package for free up to 10 users. So like that's a really cool thing that they do. And then Salesforce being the platform that it is, it's very scalable. So it can serve, the smallest nonprofit to the giant enterprise, client. So it's really scalable.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
So what are some of the challenges that your clients have before they start working with you?
A lot of the challenges that the clients might have is that they have been on antiquated systems for, 15, 20 years, disjointed systems. So, accounting is in the system, development's in the system, I don't know, event planning is in another system, and, the grants is in another. So they're kind of managing everything, all of these different systems, and they don't talk. And so what that means is that they're having high touch points, with major donors that they, shouldn't have. But Salesforce really gives them the opportunity to bring all of those systems into one and really have a 360, and ensuring that they're really thinking about a donor's journey,
Yeah. So aside from being women run, what are some of the other ways that, Fionta is able to stand out from its competition?
I think it's our culture. It is our, leadership is more trust the teams that work within Fionta to make good choices, make good decisions. They believe that everybody that works at Fionta is extremely intelligent, extremely smart, and they give a lot of autonomy to consultants. To say that you're a consultant, you've been in this space, you can consult. And I think that that's one of the things that's really great is there's no perfect size or structure or thing for every single client that works across the board. So it really gives us the flexibility to pull from different methodologies and things that we've come across to say, okay, this is going to work for this person, this is going to work for this person or this organization. So I think it's the flexibility is really what stands out.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So it sounds like flexibility and like adaptability as well. Yeah. So talking about those organizations, are there certain trends and sizes of organizations that you see? I know it's nonprofits, but like break that down a little bit more specifically for me.
Well, in the nonprofit space, I mean, obviously you can have the small animal shelter to, the large Ronald McDonald House type of organization. And then on the association side, those associations can be really, really small associations and, targeted very specifically to these giant medical associations. And you think about like how big those are, how many hospitals are in the United States and how large those associations have to be and how many doctors are members of these associations. And so it's like the scale is just vast. I don't know how to put a number on it.
No, 100%. So talk to me a little bit about kind of common misconceptions in the field, because I know we talked a little bit about there not being that many women. So talk to me about some common misconceptions.
In the field for nonprofit or just tech space or?
All of it, whatever you think is kind of like one of the most common misconceptions that you run into.
I think one of the common misconceptions from, I would say potentially from the client side would be not setting, I guess, a realistic budget for something that's pretty big or not, really understanding how large something can be. And how important it is to basically bite off small chunks. I guess is the best way to say it, is to kind of take something really large and focus on the MVP, like what's the most viable product first, and then build from there. And that's Salesforce really allows you to do that, where other products and things that you purchase that are kind of off the shelf, you buy the product, you have to fit into it. And once it's done, it's done. Where implementations with Salesforce is like, it's an ongoing process and it's scalable. So it'll grow with your organization.
Yeah. And why do you think that's important? Because it makes it more scalable?
it makes it more scalable and it's customizable. So
Okay.
not every, nonprofit or association is structured exactly the same. A lot of them operate in a very similar way, but they have different processes and things that really you many times can't shoehorn into a product, which is why a lot of organizations, when they come to us, they have shoehorned something into a system that doesn't work for them, or they're not using the system and they're having to use Excel, Outlook, just all of these different mechanisms to try to manage one business process.
Yeah. Interesting. So if people wanted to learn more about Salesforce, about Fionta, where would they go to start?
Well, for us at Fionta, it'd be, of course, Fionta.com. We have a lot of information just on the website in general. There's lots of blog posts and things as well. There's a lot of things about our employees and what they love and our consultants. And so you can really kind of see our culture is people first.
Yeah.
And then with Salesforce at salesforce.com, salesforce.org for nonprofits specifically, but there's tons of information around Salesforce. They also have Trailhead, which is their basically giant knowledge base. How to use Salesforce, where do you start? Certifications. I mean, I think it's probably the most documented product available for CRM.
I can agree with that. I can agree with that. So Ashley, as we kind of wrap up this call, if you wanted to leave our listeners with one thing, either about Fionta, about Salesforce, about the tech space, about women in tech, what would you want to leave our listeners with?
I would say that investing in technology for an organization, whether a nonprofit, association, or for-profit, is really important. And then user adoption and change management is equally as important. And basically setting up the organization for success and getting information from the users, and then feeding that into the project is probably the most important aspect of really, a successful project.
Yeah, absolutely. To make it more customizable, kind of like you said, right?
Well, not only make it more customizable, but make the end user feel and know that they were part of the process and a part of the build. And, it's kind of like going out and buying a car, right? You don't have somebody else go and buy a car for you. You shop, you figure out what you like, you figure out what, options that you want, and you go buy that car. And so it gives the users that experience that I said that I wanted all these things. Now, all the other users say that they want similar things. So we have this unified solution that works for everybody, inside the organization, and not really kind of, again, that term shoehorned, right? Shoehorned into an application that may not work for everything. Yeah.
Well, Ashley, this has been a great conversation. I think it was very insightful. You gave a lot of really great insight, like I said, kind of into Salesforce, into Fionta, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk with me, on Business Ninjas today.
Great. Thank you.